हाय एवरीवन, इट्स मी हमसेन, यू आर वाचिंग HTX। वेलकम बैक टू द चैनल। कैसे हैं आप? सब ठीक ठाक हैं? उम्मीद करता हूँ अच्छे होंगे, खैर खैरियत से होंगे, एंजॉय कर रहे होंगे। आज हम बात करने वाले हैं जी, एक हमने सीरीज़ स्टार्ट की थी तेनाली आर के। एपिसोड 1 हमने किया था, जिसमें वो उन्होंने आँखों का जिक्र किया था। एंडिंग जो हुई थी वो आँखों पे हुई थी कि आँखें खुल गई। पेंटिंग का जिक्र है, एक स्टोरी लाइन है पूरी। अगर किसी ने नहीं देखा हुआ तो जनाब पहला एपिसोड देखें, लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन में है। हम एपिसोड 2 देखते हैं, बड़े दिन बाद लाए हैं। थोड़ा सा हमने भी खुद भी एपिसोड 1 को दोबारा रिव्यू किया था ताकि हमें स्टोरी जहन में हो, क्योंकि एपिसोड 2 बिल्कुल कनेक्ट है। ये पूरी सीरीज़ आपस में कनेक्टेड है। तो टाइटल कुछ ऐसे है जी कि माइकल एंजेलो एंड ग्रेनाइट। माइकल एंजेलो एंड ग्रेनाइट, टेनाली आर के सीरीज़ एपिसोड 2 स्टार्ट करते हैं जी। एनिमेटेड वेब नैरेटिव, और देखते हैं। स्ट्रिंग चैनल है, लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन में, सब्सक्राइब ज़रूर कीजिएगा। आइए देखते हैं। 3 2 1 एंड माइकल एंजेलो एंड ग्रेनाइट एपिसोड 2।
I was dead curious as to how he knew the painting was stolen. Upon much pressure, he revealed he had only come to ask for a job because he thought the painting was a sign for him. But my over curiosity and impatience gave it away to him that this painting was more important to me than to him. And the reason he was offered a seat and a tea was because I wanted to hear what information he had on the painting. He put two and two together and took a shot to know if it was stolen or something. And I, like an idiot, choked down my tea and confirmed the same. If my investigators were genius enough, I would have gotten the paintings back by now. Impressed by his presence of mind, I decided to offer him a job. I knew not what designation he would hold, but I needed him in the office.
जाहिर सी बात है,
So I
बाहर नहीं
decided to
जाने दे
take him to
सकते
the
थे।
upgraded secured lockers where the rest three paintings were safeguarded. But before that, he needed a shower, change of clothes, and a meal. All were arranged. I showed him the three paintings that I still had. The painting of the King Rajaraja Chola, painting of a village woman fetching water, night stars being gazed by king and queen. The missing ones were of goddess Kali with closed eyes,
ओके,
Chhatrapati Shivaji,
तीनों रिलीजियस पेंटिंग्स।
Chanakya, and an
चार हुई हैं
unidentified
चोरी।
temple with a classical dancer. All these were marvels
सही।
that were luckily unharmed during the British era and remained with the safeguarding families without being subject to takeover by the government. In a way, these treasures were saved by many generations. None of them fell to the greed of selling them. There were kings and knights who sold the entire nation to invaders with greed for money. But these individuals stood for what belonged to this country's treasury and ensured the safety of such. Believing in my capabilities, 7 different families donated these priceless
And
treasures
now
to my hands.
वो चोरी हो चुकी हैं।
Had they sold, they would have been millionaires. But no, they wanted these preserved in the right hands. I offered to pay them for these, but they politely denied. Such was the austerity of those who protected the paintings until now. I shared this pain with RK, whom I had just met. The aura that dwelled around his eyes gave me the confidence that he could be my confidant. He asked how the break in had happened. I was otherwise engaged with Pratingira Textiles' export business. I was at the docks taking care of the shipments. Second, my father and my mother were celebrating their anniversary and were at a vacation. Third, my uncle, maternal, was overlooking a startup under Pratingira Group. It was a branding agency meant to fetch money by bringing sponsors and brands for events, shows, and films. Just when all of us were conveniently away, a group
होगा
of
तो
burglars
इंटरनल
went
काम
straight
ही।
to the walls and could steal 4 of the 7 paintings. I do not know how they cracked the codes or disarmed the alarms, but they broke into a concrete security scheme and dissolved it into dust. There were no ordinary burglars. A well planned theft was executed so perfectly that no one but I is looking for them. Hearing all this, RK fell deep into thoughts, looking at my collection of
Hundreds of
artifacts. Hundreds of them. The idol of a Gandharva took his interest and picked it up. The burglary is an inside job, he said. I knew that much. Even a 5-year-old who listened to this story could figure out that much. It was no coincidence that all the important of us were out of the town and the burglary happened. I gave a sarcastic look at RK. He smiled and added, the usual suspect would be your uncle. Like people usually blame the butler for major domestic crimes, They also blame weird looking uncles. Your voice changed when you mentioned him. I was taken aback. Now I wanted to hear more, he said. Looking at the size of your palace and the level of security scheme that you have, you would want to stay in case there was a need of a switch button. Even terrorists have the switch button these days. No one knows when they might have to abort. So, if Weird Uncle was out of town, the possibility of him pulling this off stands minimal. Look into the security briefing. Who all have clearance to the topmost security levels and were on site at the hour of theft? They are our suspects. When there are people who would sell the country for money, surely you can buy some traffic footage with the money you have. Influence traffic control room. Get the footage of vehicles coming towards and from the gallery at the time of burglary. There would be many. Eliminate the vehicles that come in these routes on a regular basis. So you will need a list of vehicle numbers on that date and at least on 30 different dates for an average estimation. Compare, conclude, eliminate. For this, you will need a team of at least 15 trusted people. Buy them. We'll need professionals who can recreate the crime scene in secret. Buy them. We'll need a few gundas. Buy them. I was okay with buying the rest of them. But why gundas? I didn't understand. When questioned the same, he laughed and said, "See, just like you're buying these professionals, your enemies also have bought their professionals. When you try to hit them back, the first thing they'll do is threaten your life with goons. Don't wait till you're attacked, but be prepared to counter. So that's settled then. We're hiring goons. And when war comes, let the goons fight goons and we'll concentrate on the work to be done. Capish?" I smiled and felt the bliss of having one forward-thinking brain on my side. In fact, standing in front of him, I felt little. As if Hanuman stood in front of a regular monkey, his might belittled my intellect. Just then he looked at the Gandharva and asked, "Is this the sculpture of an angel?" I sighed. "That is a Gandharva," I replied. "Sad that we know of angels with wings and harps, but not the Gandharva with wings and spears. That is Veerabahu, the celestial warrior. He is said to have defeated many demons and works as commander-in-chief for Lord Subramanya."
I'm just saying. क्योंकि identical है
This
ना?
sculpture is of him, dating back to the 6th century. "So, this is an artifact?" he asked. "No, this is a treasure," I replied sharply. "Have you heard of Michelangelo?" I asked further. He nodded. "His sculpture David?" I added. He nodded further. "See, you say you're from a remote village. Even you have heard of Michelangelo and his David. Good, appreciate that. But did you know Michelangelo's David is sculpted on marble? Marble is a substance that forms from limestone and it has more pores, making it easier to sculpt on. Just because something is wide doesn't make it divine. Look at the sculpture in your hands. It is made of dark stone, granite, just like many sculptures in India. This is 10 times harder to chisel and carve than your average white marble. Rioters had thrown a normal chair at David and broke it in 3 spots. But to break Indian sculptures, invaders had to use axes, spears, and heavy weapons of metal.
Fiction or
The
reality?
artists who have done these sculptures had to punish their hands with extra power than it takes to sculpt a marble. Beyond sculpting, I insist you to pass a strand from his hand. It would come out from the other. Indian sculptures are full of such marvels with the minutest details. I handed him a strand. It did astonish him to see the strand pass in from one hand and come out from the other. His eyes widened. And to my surprise, he said, "I feel like a monkey trying to jump in front of Hanuman looking at your knowledge." I laughed in myself. "We need Michelangelo and Granite," he said sharply. I didn't understand. He said that he would explain and insisted that we go to the Kali temple from his village first. This man who left the village with torn clothes within 2 days returned in a convoy of cars dressed a professional. The so-called educated, the true mud and paint at his face, reeked with garbage and went pale. Few people who often fed him cheered for him. The puzzled dogs that used to look at his previous stupidity turned even more puzzled. We parked our convoys at the foot of the mountain. While my security stayed back, RK and I started climbing the mountain and upon his insistence with bare feet.
ऊपर क्या है?
It took us 3 hours to reach the peak. The orchards had fruits and they quenched our hunger. Natural streams of water here and there kept our thirst away. I was awestruck to see this isolated cliff, that kind of hid from the society among trees, holding a magnificent temple but in ruins. I don't know why, but as I stepped in, I felt this strong aura that there was. More than what I could feel in Arkesh's eyes, a stronger confidence filled this air. It broke my heart to see so many broken sculptures and pillars lying around, as if it were a glorious giant warrior laid it in the arms of Mother Earth, ripped apart shred by shred, his blood substituting for the
क्लाइमैक्स
tears
आने
Earth
वाला है
wanted to shed,
आई गेस
his
ऐसा
mighty
कुछ होगा
weapons left to the ground because no one could even lift them, and his glories unsung by a choir of muted apsarasas. These carvings of stone remained in pieces on the ground. In silence, I suffered to see the condition of the temple, for my affinity to this art is greater than the affinity I share with anything else. What did you mean by Michelangelo and granite? I asked, trying to deviate myself from this tragedy. See, even a villager like me has heard of Uncle Angelo, but never seen a marble sculpture. Likewise, I never heard of a great ancient Indian sculptor because none was mentioned in any of my textbooks. Not that I personally had the brain to retain all that information, but still, only seen granite work.
So,
We need the same. We need the marketing of Michelangelo and the strength of granite. To smoke out the culprits, we need to market that a theft has happened, but the original paintings are safe and that the exhibit is still going as per plan. What if they test the paintings that they have stolen, if not already? Identifying an ancient painting is not difficult, I questioned curiously. See, your paintings were always there. This inside job could have been done even when your security was worse, but no. Only after you announced an exhibit with international delegates, this is happening. I suppose the target is not painting per se, but the event itself. I feel a much bigger game is at play. Chalo, kela hobe. Let the games begin. Just to be on a safer side, announce 5 or 6 more ancient paintings to have been donated to your art gallery. That should spice things up, he replied. I was still trying to stomach what I heard. I began to wonder what disgusting creature would try to spoil the heritage and name of the country in front of the whole world. Then I realized, looking at my fellow countrymen, there would be quite a few enthusiasts who would intentionally do that. Like they had in Mahabharata, our enemies need not be alien. They may even take birth in our own family. I like the idea of Michelangelo and granite. So be it, I thought. Let the
और
games begin.
ये वार क्राई फूंक दी गई है। क्या बात है भाई, इंटरेस्ट पे इंटरेस्ट बनता जा रहा है, बनता जा रहा है। देखो, मैंने खामोशी से सुनी है, ठीक है। लास्ट टाइम जो थी ना, एक तो ये सुनाता इतने इतने तरीके से है ना कहानी को, कि दूसरे बंदे का इंटरेस्ट ना भी हो तो बन जाएगा। मैंने इसलिए स्टार्टिंग में कहा था भाई, पहले जो है एपिसोड 1 देख लो। एपिसोड 1 देखना बहुत ज़रूरी है, क्योंकि उसमें जिस तरह से इस कहानी का आप कह लो कि फाउंडेशन रखा गया है ना, वो सबसे बेस्ट था। और जिस तरह से सस्पेंस आ रहे, जिस तरह से एक कहानी डेवलप हो रही है, स्टोरी डेवलप हो रही है, वो बड़ी कमाल की चीज़ है। अब मुझे ये था कि वो जो हमने लास्ट इवेंट देखा था कि आंखें खुली या आंखें बंद हुई, वो इवेंट कंटिन्यू होगा, लेकिन ये तो एक अलग ही लेवल पे चली गई है स्टोरी कि जनाब, तुम मेरे साथ चलो, मैं तुम्हें मंदिर दिखाऊंगा। और फिर वो लोग जो कभी आर के पे हंसा करते थे, वो परेशान कि भाई ये क्या 2 दिन में ही जनाब गाड़ियों का काफ़िला आ गया। और फिर ऊपर लेके जाना और समझाना कि भाई पेंटिंग जो थी वो इसलिए चोरी नहीं हुई कि पुरानी थी, वो इसलिए चोरी हुई है कि तुमने एक इवेंट अनाउंस किया था, और इवेंट ही मेन जड़ है। तो टिट फॉर टैट करने का टाइम है, वॉर क्राई दे दी गई है, बैटल स्टार्ट हो गया। अब एपिसोड 3 भी देखना पड़ेगा। मज़ा आया मुझे देख के। और मज़े की बात, पहली जो स्टोरी, पहली जो एपिसोड थी ना, उसमें मैं ये समझ रहा था कि जस्ट इट्स अ वर्क ऑफ फिक्शन, बट आई मस्ट से इट्स अ अमेलगम ऑफ फिक्शन एंड रियलिटी, क्योंकि एक फिक्शनस उन्होंने शायद स्टोरी बनाई है, और रियल टाइम इवेंट्स जो हैं, या रियल टाइम जो आप कह लें कि हिंदुज़म की जो स्टोरीज़ हैं, उनको इसमें इनकॉर्पोरेट किया गया, और उससे एक अलग ही लेवल का, मैं कहता हूँ, एक शाहकार बन गए। तो एपिसोड 3 जल्द लेकर आएंगे, आपने हमारे साथ इंतज़ार करना है, अकेले अकेले नहीं देखना, इकट्ठे देखेंगे। मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीडियो में, अपना ख्याल रखिएगा, सी यू गाइस।